once I did it for an entire year, like, okay, we're in this to win it, I was like, oh yeah, I should have been doing this like a long, long time ago. If you were to tell me you're going to go harvest your first archery buck out near LA, I'd be like, you're bullshitting me, but that's what happens. The internet plays for keeps. Once you throw it out there, there's no like, oh, just kidding, delete. It's going to be out there. The amount of times I wanted to snap my bow over my damn leg, I lost count because it is such a hard art to master, and I don't think anyone in this building has mastered archery. When I go to food prep throughout the week and I open up my freezer and I go grab that ground venison, it's just this feeling you get where you're like, that's me. This is the legend Spencer Kirksey, and you're listening to Living Country in the City.
Y'all ready for your dose of flyover state spirit? Straight from the concrete jungle? Well, put down your latte and pull on your boots. It's time for Living Country in the City.
Hey, yo, welcome to episode 112 of Living Country in the City. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Sawyer Products for their continual support of the podcast. Y'all, it is summer, and whether you are out scouting, hiking, hunting, or just spending time at the lake with the family, make sure y'all check out Sawyer and see all the amazing products that they have available to keep you protected from ticks, mosquitoes, and all the different creepy crawlies that you can find in the outdoors. Additionally, they have other amazing products that will keep you in the outdoors for longer, so check them out at Sawyer.com. Also, y'all, if you are looking to start a brand, maybe a podcast, or even just upgrade your existing web presence, make sure y'all hit me up. I'm currently sending out quotes for new websites, and I guarantee my prices are more reasonable than you will find just about anywhere else. You can check out examples of my work and fill out a quote request form at livingcountryinthecity.com/website-design, or just head to the website and hit the website design tab. All right, y'all, on to today's episode. Again, back at Hunt Expo, I got to sit down with my good buddy and fellow California hunter, Spencer Kirksey. Y'all, Spencer is an awesome guy and a fellow adult onset hunter like myself. We talk about all kinds of stuff, including the opportunities to hunt in California. We talk a little bit about learning to hunt as an adult and just really have a great conversation, tell a few stories. So, hope you all enjoy episode 112 with Spencer Kirksey.
Here we are.
Another
episode of Living Country in the City.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Chaos of a Saturday at the Western Hunt Expo. Compared to last year, this is not nearly as bad because there's 100 more exhibitors, but they opened up this whole back area, and it's not this. This is still like anxiety-inducing for me with this many people, but
yeah, man. This is my first. This is my first crack at any kind of exhibit expo.
So have you even gone to any of the ISE shows in Sacramento or anything like that?
That's a negative, sir. None of that.
Wow.
None of that. But so this is me first experience. It's awesome. Meeting. Okay, I'm not the guy to drop names or anything, but I met Tim Burnett from Solo Hunter. Literally within my first 10 minutes, I was like, okay. This is the, because it's you follow these guys, and that's how I got hunting. Look, YouTube, what's on YouTube? What's out there? It's Solo Hunter. You know what I mean? So it's super cool to just see faces that you've seen on computer screens and TV screens your whole life, and you actually get to go shake their hand and shoot the shit with them. So this has been a wild experience so far, and it's only day 2 for me, man. So
it's funny. It's funny because I always tell you, I lived in Hollywood for a long time. I would see celebrities on a regular basis, and I just didn't care. There'd be a couple that I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I saw, Tommy Lee Jones or something.
Yeah.
But, which I did see him once at a restaurant, and he, you want to go say hi to him?
Yeah.
But he just has that look all the time that he has in all the movies, and you're like, I'm scared of him right now.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Very few people who have that presence where you're like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what the play is. But yeah, no, I totally get it. It's awesome here.
But yeah, so I don't really get starstruck until I meet someone completely random that none of my friends would have any clue who they are.
Yeah.
First time I've told Brian this a couple of times. The first time I met Brian Call Gritty, I was in line behind him at some event here in Salt Lake. We were waiting for a taco truck, And he turned around. He's like, "Oh, hey, I'm Brian." I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm Sam."
Oh.
I was like totally like, because he was one of the first podcasts I listened to. He was a huge inspiration for my podcast when I started it. And, just awesome guy.
Yeah. You don't want to be that guy, but then you just
I was totally that guy.
It just happens.
I was totally that guy.
It just happens that way.
I think I managed to blur it out. I'm a huge fan. But anyway.
I've been watching you forever.
Folks, if you don't know this guy talking, if you haven't figured it out from the fancy intro that my editor has put together for me, this is the one, the only, the legend, Spencer Kirksey. By his own admission, of course. But
yeah, you're welcome. I'm the most famous guy nobody knows.
There you go. There you go. So why don't you give a little bit of an intro just about yourself for the listeners, introduce yourself, and how you got into hunting, how you were introduced to all of this.
Yeah, man. So grew up, we talked about this, grew up in Los Angeles, California. More specifically, Topanga Canyon, which is a small little community just north of Malibu. I always kind of describe it as where all the hippies and cowboys went to retire. Great little area growing up. I spent my entire adolescence just, running up creek beds, running up mountains, just, causing a little bit of a ruckus here and there. And it's really a small town vibe, but you're 30, 40 minutes from downtown LA. So it was a very bizarre area, but it was a great place to grow up. So hunting was never really a big thing or a forefront in my family. I'm an only child, mom, dad. Mom got a little crazy with it. She did a little hunting in her early years, but again, my only really experience was in Texas, where I have tons of relatives out near the Pflugerville, Round Rock area. And, we'd go out there every year for Thanksgiving, and we'd go hunt deer, hunt hog. But it was a great experience, but again, it would live and die within that one weekend, and it would be once a year.
It was a vacation thing, not a lifestyle at the time.
Completely casual, like, hey, let's go hunt hogs, let's go sit in the blind. And so that's kind of how it started, but again, it was once a year, it was once a weekend, once a year. So anyway, started to get a little more interest in it. Now my father-in-law, he's a huge outdoorsman, been hunting for 30, 35 years, and he's been really like taking me under his wing and showing me the ropes and everything and the do's and the don'ts. He lets me fail all the time, which is fine. I need that, but, just being under his supervision and getting all his knowledge has been really, really helpful. And it's one of those things that for me, hunting, once I did it for an entire year, like, okay, we're in this to win it, I was like, oh yeah, I should have been doing this like a long, long time ago.
Haven't we all come to that realization at some point? Those of us that were not growing up in it, like as a lifestyle. Yeah. It's like, why wasn't I doing this since I was like 10?
There's something primal about it. There's something that kind of feels that it's something deep down in your DNA. Like, no, like you should have been doing this a long, long time ago, and you're wasting your time at all these supermarkets and all. Like, so that's the vibe I got after my first year of like, okay, you're a bow hunter. That's what you're gonna do. Why I chose bow hunting over rifle hunting. Jury's still out, really. There's just something about a bow wandering around in a national forest or something, and it's just something. It's hard to describe, but once you're there, you're like, oh yeah, I get it now, So that's how kind of hunting started for me,
So, are you still based in Los Angeles now?
No, so my wife and I have been living in Orange County for the last 5 years. We just bought a piece of land with a little fixer-upper on it in Murrieta, California. Not a lot of people know where that is. It's kind of like, it's definitely living country in the city. It really is, though, because, you're 15 minutes from the freeway, but once you get up on my porch, you can't hear a damn thing. I'm surrounded by trees, mountains, and horses and wildlife, and it's just a great area that's kind of up and coming now that most people who live in Southern California are like, okay, so I don't want to rent my entire life, nor do I want to buy a condo because you're just buying an apartment, really. I want a house. I want some land. And if you're not someone who comes with a bunch of cash, people are starting to roam down in that area, and you can find some good pieces of land. So we got 2.5 acres for a very reasonable price with a home on it and everything. So we're going to be moving on in there next couple weeks and start our life in Murrieta, California.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and, people don't realize, like, there's a lot of places to hunt around Orange County.
Yes.
You do not have to go that far. Like, yeah, it's one thing if you're in the middle of Huntington Beach, that's a little bit more difficult, or like right in the middle of Sunset or something.
Yeah.
You're traveling a little bit more, but Orange County is pretty large, and you've got access to a lot of land that you can go out and hunt out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I harvested my buck, and if you were to tell me you're going to go harvest your first archery buck out near LA, I'd be like, you're bullshitting me, but that's what happened. I harvested my first deer out in that area. It was awesome experience. But you're right. There are places to be, or there are places to find game, but it's definitely not like an Idaho scene or a Colorado scene or a Texas scene. It's definitely a different breed, but you're right. There's places to go. You just got to work a little bit harder.
So tell me about, like, as was this buck you're talking about, was that your first buck you've harvested now that you're, like, in LA, Orange County area?
Yeah.
So tell me about that hunt. How did that go? How did you decide where you wanted to draw tags for?
Yeah.
That whole process from the beginning.
So the way I found this spot where I ended up harvesting a deer, it was such a rad story, and another testament to, like, if you use Instagram the right way, it can really help you out. It's a great tool. And so I was on my story once talking. I was complaining, big surprise. I was complaining about something. And what happened was we got hit with a really gnarly fire out in Orange County area.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was my spot that I had been scouting for 5 months, just gone, completely underwater. Under fire. We needed water. We needed water. So this guy, via Instagram, never really spoke to him. I actually wasn't even following him back. He was just a random follower. And he reached out to me. He was like, hey, saw that you were, struggling with your spot. I fly helicopters, and I noticed this one area that looked pretty good. I live in Idaho. Like, I have no business being over there. Like, I'm not going to go over there and hunt it. But it looked really promising. I saw some water. You should go check it out. The dude gave me his waypoint to the spot. I ended up scouting for the next 4 or 5 months, and sure enough, that's the place where I harvested my buck. How it all played out was pretty interesting. It's a great piece of land and awesome terrain. There's places for blinds. There's places to hang a tree stand if you wanted. So I ended up making kind of like a makeshift blind from just down trees and branches that were in the area. And I was sitting this one spot. I just kind of sold out, sitting at this one spot, and starting to, I'm there at 6 o'clock in the morning, just waiting. A couple does. I got in full. It was an A31 tag, and if you're not familiar with the A31 tag, it's pretty unique. Your season starts a little later than most people, but it goes all the way to December 31st, and it's an antlerless tag. So you could fill a doe, you could fill it with a buck, whatever you want. So I was sitting in the spot.
Honestly did not know we had any doe hunts.
Dude.
I did not know there's any tag you could take a doe on in California.
It's in this one specific zone. It's the A31. It's awesome. It's my first time doing it. And again, I've got some people who know what they're doing in my corner, and they're like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. And I ended up getting a preference point, the A31, and my normal deer tag, my over-the-counter deer tag. So it all worked out. But I was in full draw a few times on a couple does. I just didn't feel comfortable with the shot. And so I'm waiting around, starting to warm up. It's like 9:30, 10. Sun's starting to crest over the mountain that I got my back up against too, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn it, dude, it ain't going to happen. It ain't happening today. And right as I say that, and I'm like, I'm not bullshitting, a young buck comes up from my right to left, and he just sits 18 yards in front of me. and
nice.
It all played out. I somehow was able to get it on video. I had my little tripod with my cell phone on. GoPro, come on, get your shit together. Dude, their battery life is absolutely terrible. I put it on my stabilizer that was going to face me. It was going to have a great little back and forth, from the video going to me to my shot. And, of course, GoPro's completely dead on my stabilizer. But actually, no, I talk shit about GoPro. But, dude, I love that thing. The fact that you can just throw it in your pocket, carry it anywhere, and the quality of that stuff is awesome. But
you can shoot 4K on those now.
It's
pretty
come
crazy.
on now. And you just take stills of awesome, take awesome photos from your video stills and everything. So, yeah, GoPro, just get that battery life, and you've got the golden nugget, man. But anyway, deer just pops up 18 yards and just tore him up. He literally went 10 yards up a hillside and done and done. So I got to be a part of the entire process. So you go track it. We quartered it right there. My buddy Eric, he and I – funny. He and I met at an archery shop. We bought bows very, very close to the same period, and he walked in just like deer in headlights, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody help. And so I just went over there, and we became best friends. We ended up being each other's weddings. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, good dude. We're really, really good friends. So he and I would go on, whenever we could, we'd go out together. But anyway, so we cleaned it up, threw it in the coolers. And I was calling my father-in-law. I was like, I did it. I smoked him. And he was super proud of me. I was like, so where do I go to get it butchered? And he's like, my kitchen. And so he was able to teach me everything. So it was literally from releasing to the arrow to putting it in a bag and throwing it in the freezer. I was a part of that entire process. And anybody listening, or is anybody just, it's so foreign to them, go out and do that, and you will have a much more greater respect for your food. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people have such a disconnect with that. And as a hunter, as you and I, the way we live our lifestyles, when I go to food prep throughout the week and I open up my freezer and I go grab that ground venison, it's just this feeling you get where you're like, that's me. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, and I know a lot of people totally see it as a chore. They don't enjoy it. It's a pain in the butt for them. I friggin' enjoy. I mean, it's hard work. Yeah. Like, your back and legs will be wrecked by the time you are done fully processing an animal. Like, you don't realize it until you like stand up straight again and you kind of stretch. You're like, oh crap! But I absolutely love it. Yeah. I love the process. I love getting a chance to do all that work. And, it's just, once again, it's more rewarding when you do it yourself.
100% agree.
From soup to nuts. You know exactly who's had their hands on that animal, the work that went into it, how it was processed. You know that you're getting your deer back, not mixed with anyone else's grind.
That's a big thing. Like, what if somebody threw in, like, a gut shot animal, and, now your venison that you made a money shot on is getting ground with, soiled meat.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think most people doing the processing, most butchers are honest enough and they're taking care, but they're mass producing this stuff. It's
you never know, and that's why you just do it yourself. So then there's no questions.
There you go. So, I mean, being from California, you've probably heard it too. all the snide comments aligned. I thought camo was outlawed in California. Oh, you guys can hunt out there, land of fruits and nuts.
Yeah.
What would you say? Coming from California, especially coming from Los Angeles, what are some of the negatives you see as far as being a hunter in California?
Oh man, it's rough out here. That's for sure, man. It's definitely not well accepted. I would say I think honestly, it's lack of knowledge out on this end. Maybe I don't know really how you got into hunting, but I'm sure somebody along the way took you under their wing and they taught you the right way. But there's not a whole lot of resources out here in California like that, especially in Southern California. And so I would say the lack of knowledge, and again, people just there's this huge disconnect when it comes to their food, and it's living in the concrete jungle. It's living by, market to market and having zero connection with their food whatsoever. But I mean, if you want to talk about comments that get made, I was talking to somebody about this the other day where the things you say, let's be honest, or let's get something right out in the air. Internet is for keeps, man. The internet plays for keeps. Once you throw it out there, there's no just kidding, delete. It's going to be out there. And
it's already been populated at 18 other places and screenshotted by 20 people.
Yep. And so when I read some of the things that are sent to other people, I'm like, you sound like a psychopath. You sound like you're a serial killer. Like, why would you say those things to somebody? Like, it's meat. And don't get me wrong, I respect the animal more than anything else in the world. But it's food.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. It's a food. It's a necessity. And some of the things that people say some of the things non-hunters say to hunters is just absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that there's almost zero accountability for those actions just blows me away.
Mm-hmm.
Blows me away. Where there's literally death threats via Instagram or via whatever, and nothing's being done of it. It's terrible. It's terrible.
No, I mean, it floors me that these people who are so, in theory, passionate about protecting life, their first response is, well, I hope somebody murders your children. It's like, what the?
That escalated quickly. Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to enough, and I feel like it's interesting with the amount of podcasts I've done and the people I've talked with. I feel like it's a lot worse for women. Like, it's bad enough for guys on Instagram, whatever, all those threats. Women get it 10 times as much. Because I feel like not only, is it the hunting aspect, but then there's, for some reason, there's this additional feel of being threatened maybe by a strong woman or something. I don't know what it is.
Emasculated in some way.
I don't understand it, but I feel like, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like women get it a lot worse than guys do as far as the hate and the threats and stuff like that.
Well, just like about when they talk about why are you wearing makeup? And it's like, well, dude, if they want to wear it, let them wear it. Are you really worried about their makeup right now? Like, come on, man. But again, on the anti-hunters, this is like the antis. I got a message from somebody. It was actually humorous to me, but this person, I think I had reposted a photo of somebody, doing a kind of a grip and grin with some deer they had harvested, and they sent me this thing. It started with the crying emoji face. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. And I was definitely in a particular mood when they hit me up, which was probably not good for them.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah. We've all been there.
But they're like, well, I just hate seeing it. And of course, I look on their Instagram and they're eating meat at a restaurant, and I'm like, do you have any idea where that came from? No, you have no idea where that came from. But you want to judge other people for actually going out and doing it themselves. And she said, well, I just hate seeing it, and I'd rather it be the natural way. Then let me just give you a glimpse of the natural way that animal is going to die. There is no retirement home. There's no dying of old age, okay? That thing is going to be ripped to shreds alive. It's going to be eaten alive by some predator in a couple years, or maybe tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so they live in this fantasy land.
You want your meat to have died in the natural way?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll show you what that meat looks like. We'll quarter that up, and I'll make you something from that. You won't like it, but I'll make you something from that, lion chewed friggin'
dude,
quarter that's left. And oh, jeez,
dude, it's so bad. But they live in this fantasy land that, they're gonna die of old age. They're gonna rest peacefully on this piece of bark right here, and everything's been fine. No, it is life. It's a circle of life. It's going to be eaten by something. So I'm going to try to do it in the most respectful way possible. I'm going to put an arrow right through its vitals. It's going to hopefully meet its end within the next couple seconds, hopefully a couple minutes, and that will be that. That is going to be the cleanest and easiest and most humane way that thing is going to die.
Well, I quote that Fred Bear quote all the time on here, and I massacre it every time. But it's, the whole concept of, I know that the quick end I provide is a lot kinder than nature's way of fang and claw and starvation.
Yeah.
Like, it's so true. People are just so oblivious and so disconnected from nature that they think, like you said, there's no animal retirement home.
Yeah.
People are convinced, though, that, like, when an animal dies, it crawls up the mountain to a field of clover where it lays down peacefully and closes its eyes.
Throws the olive branch down.
The rest of the animal kingdom pays its respects. Yeah. And it's like, get your head out of your ass. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah. The mountain, and especially the wild, does not care. They do not care.
Now, it can't be all bad living in Los Angeles and California.
No.
What would you say as a city hunter?
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the positive aspects of coming from Southern California and being a hunter?
Well, you know what, and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I feel like there is a little bit of added respect from most hunters when they're like, oh, so you did a DIY public land harvest, you were successful in Southern California in like LA County.
Mm-hmm.
Tip of the cap, man. That's not an easy feat whatsoever. And so, being able to connect with people like that where they actually, if you talk to someone who actually knows what they're talking about, have been around the block a little bit, they know how hard it is. I mean, public land in general, I don't care where you are, is pretty hard. But in Southern California, it is very hard to get on something that's worthwhile,
Mm-hmm.
and so having that added respect, I feel like is definitely a positive, and people definitely respect you a little bit more. But it's funny with this whole social media thing and Instagram. It's I'm going to be pig hunting next weekend, and the reason I'm going to be pig hunting next weekend is because I did this ridiculous solo 3-day hunt at a place I had never been to before. I thought there was a general area, and there was plenty of tracks and sign everywhere. I didn't end up seeing anything move, but I spent 3 days out in the wild by myself, just me, my tent, my bow. It was a blast. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the guy who's going to measure success over you putting something in the freezer or not. I mean, if that's your main reason why you're going out there, hopefully you live in the middle of nowhere in Alaska where you're like literally have to have meat in your freezer to survive. But if that's really the sole reason you're going out there is so, or you're measuring your success by, better have antlers on it, or, better kill something today. Dude, you're missing the point, man. The big picture is out there for me is just really enjoying wildlife and just being able to disconnect and just, connect again. As lame as it sounds, like connecting with Mother Nature and our wildlife is big for me because, again, living in the city,
dude,
it is you feel like there's this constant buzzing going around you because there's so many damn people out here, and just to be able to go out in the mountains with your bow and just hear absolutely nothing, it's one of the greatest things ever.
Well, and in Southern California, too, you're in a unique situation.
Yeah.
A very unique situation in which, you may be in the city, but you know what? In an hour, you can be in the mountains.
Yeah.
You know what? In an hour, you can be in the desert.
Yeah.
You know what? In an hour, you can be deep sea fishing.
Yeah.
You know what? You have access in California to so many different options.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's all within a reasonable drive. And it may be harder to get tags, whatever. You've got to be strategic about that. But we have a lot of opportunity. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, go in one direction, you're in the mountains. Go in another, you're in snow. Go over there, you're on the beach. And go over there, you're in the desert.
Yeah.
It's a really unique area. But as I was kind of saying with this pig hunt is like somebody via Instagram hit me up and was like, hey, man, it was really hard to watch you strike out like that. I was following your story while you're out there. I got a 400-acre ranch with a really, really bad problem, really bad hog problem. You're welcome to come out here
and
do that. And so hey, it's private land. I'm totally wearing that, and I'm not trying to hide that fact. But in California, it's almost the only way you can do hog. It's fine.
Hog's
private
rough,
land.
on public land.
They're
It's hard
tough.
to find it.
Yeah.
I know some people that do it, but it's just a matter of finding them because they're hogs. They're dumb hogs to some extent, but they're smart enough to know where the food is and where they don't die.
Yep. And it's funny. I was talking to somebody in Texas. He's like, it's just so funny watching you Cali boys get all crazy over hog. I'm like, man, for us, like,
we don't have a ton of options.
No, we don't, man.
Hog is just about year round.
Like obviously it's deer, hog. I mean, if you're really cool, you're hunting turkey in the spring, but I mean, we don't have a lot of options. And I mean, hey, I love hog. I'll make bacon all day, dude. I'll make some sausage. I love it. And for me, one of the big things why I hunt, I mean, if you told me, or if you asked me, I should say, if you asked me a year ago, why do you hunt? Like the question, the $1 million question, why you hunt? I would say, oh, the meat, 100%. But it's really not that, because if that was the case, I would hunt with a rifle all the time. I'm an idiot and I bow hunt. I like to make things much harder than they normally should be. But for me, it's the meat does obviously still play a big role in that for me. I'm pretty health conscious. I can be a total fat kid when I want to, but 9 times out of 10, I'm trying to watch what I eat and be able to get the cleanest meat imaginable. Literally pulling it off a mountain and not letting anyone else touch it but yourself, it's literally impossible to get any cleaner than that. And then with the other reasons, it's the challenge, the camaraderie, the community that we have out here. Like, it's second to none, in my opinion. The outdoor community is such a great community to be a part of.
So, as far as your more recent hunting and turning it into a lifestyle, this is a more recent thing. It's a newer thing. You have been hunting on and off for most of your life, but as far as this, it's if you're looking back and, over this course of, a couple of years as you've been doing this, if you look back to when you first started and really started getting into this, what lessons have you learned that you wish you had known back then that you might be able to share that might be able to help someone out
I mean,
that's getting into stuff?
So one of the biggest things that I run into with people is, and for me, like, I love being this resource. People don't know where to turn to, like they want to get into it. They just don't know where to start. And that's kind of the role, like, I've kind of slowly made myself apparent in it's the rookie. It's like the person that has no idea what to do. I'm not an expert, but I've made just about every mistake there is in the book. So let me tell you what I did that didn't work out, and hopefully you can make a better decision. But as far as anything goes, as with hunting, be patient. Bow hunting especially, the amount of times I wanted to snap my bow over my damn leg, I lost count, because it is such a hard art to master, and I don't think anyone in this building has mastered archery. You can be damn good at it, but it is incredibly hard to get good at archery, just in general. And so be patient, and apparently you go on the second-hand market, like the Craigslist, the Let Goes. There's a lot of archery equipment out there, people. Oh, yeah. Because people give up too fast, man, and it's a slow, grueling process. And, I mean, that's what really hunting is, man. If you're doing hunting the right way, you are going to fail. You are going to struggle. There are going to be bad times. There are going to be times where you're questioning everything. Let that natural process happen, and then you will find yourself on the green side of the grass, and you're going to really start enjoying it. And for me, I do enjoy the struggles. I do enjoy the failures, because if you try to shadow yourself away from all that stuff, you're doing yourself a disservice, really, in my book. Failing is a part of life. Learning how to deal with failure is a part of life. Stick with the program. See it through. I promise you won't regret it. If you're anything like me, just see it through.
Awesome. So, what do you got coming up this year?
Well, I'm going to try to hunt the hell out of California. I was going to try to do an Oregon elk hunt with my buddy Chris, but it's just not going to line up. So I'm going to try to do everything I can in California this year. So deer, hog, turkey. I'm going to try to dive in a little bit with some predator hunting maybe. But really just hunt the hell out of California. Keep meeting all of you guys. I mean, this is just such an, like, again, like I said, like, this is such a great space to be a part of. Like, it comes with a lot of negatives, but there sure are a hell of a lot of positives that can be found in this space and in this industry. And so, just continue meeting great people and shaking hands and experiencing life with all you guys. And, that's really what 2019 is looking like for me. So
there we go. So if people wanted to find you on the interwebs, where are they headed? Follow along
just
with the California adventures.
Send a pigeon, and I'll get back to you.
Carrier pigeon?
So I'm really only active on Instagram, and that's Spencer Kirksey Official. Funny story about the handle. I put the official part on that when I was literally in 10th grade. So just as being a smart ass. So I'm sure there's people who think I'm like, oh, this guy puts official on his name. He probably thinks he's cool shit. No, I'm just an idiot. So just don't mind that part. But yeah, Spencer Kirksey Official on Instagram. I'm dabbling with the Go Wild app, trying to figure that out. So you can find me there. And it's just Spencer Kirksey.
Yeah, make sure you check out the Go Wild app. I work with them a lot on stuff, guys. Especially if you're looking, you're from a place that's not as friendly to hunting, and you're looking for that community. There's a lot of people, a lot of interaction on that community. It's a really great group of folks. So make sure you check that out. But all right, man. So say you're back home. You're grabbing a Lyft or an Uber. You're sitting there. You're talking to your driver, and they're like, "Oh, what's with the camo?" You're like, "Oh, well, I hunt." You have this conversation. They're like, "Well, man, I've always been interested in that, but I don't have any background in it. Like, I don't have any history with that. Like, I don't think that's something I could do." What would you tell that person? What words of encouragement would you give your Uber driver?
I would say, one, get the hell out of your head, because anybody can come out and do this. It's just having the will and the want to actually want to pursue hunting. I would say just go for it. And if you needed to, and again, I would jump right in and tell them, let's talk. Because, again, I've made every mistake in the book, and I can tell you where you need to go, and you don't have to do the terrible things that I've done. But
I've done terrible things.
I've done terrible things I can't talk about. No, but get out of your own head. Just believe in it. If it's something you really want to do, you can 100% do it. I'm a guy who grew up 30 minutes from downtown LA, and I'm out in the mountains chasing game, and I'm going to be doing that for the rest of my damn life. And so if anybody can do it, it's going to be you. So that's what I would tell them.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for sitting down. I know it's Saturday. It is chaotic here.
Yep.
And I was able to steal you away from the booth for a little bit.
Yep.
But thanks for sitting down, man. It was fun chatting, and I'm hoping we're going to be recording another one of these while we're chasing some hog or some bear in a few months.
Yes, sir. We are going to make that happen. And again, man, thank you so much for having me. This guy is awesome. My man Sam, doing big things out here.
Oh, awesome.
All right, y'all, that'll do it for Living Country in the City, episode 112. Big thank you to Spencer for sitting down, taking the time with me at the expo. Make sure y'all check out the show notes page at livingcountryinthecity.com/112. Check out links to everything we talked about in today's episode. Also, make sure you head on over to Sawyer.com. Check out all the amazing products to keep you and your family safe from ticks, mosquitoes, and all the creepy crawlies this summer. Also, make sure y'all hit me up if you are looking to upgrade your web presence and get into a brand new website. But in the meantime, keep it country, y'all.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.